Yes, and no matter how many times you turn.
Welcome to Mazecast episode 11. You may be watching this on my channel. You may be watching it on the new Maze channel created by Alex S.P. Feverson. If you're watching it currently as we're doing it live, you're watching it from my channel because we've had about 24 different kinds of technical difficulty while trying to get this to start from the Maze channel. But it should be up there soon, along with all the other videos that are already up there. Alex may be along later, we hope, since he's supposed to be presenting room 2 tonight, but he asked us to start without him. Greg's here, of course, you heard him singing, and Andrew's here again. I've invited Dale Kreider and David Gentile to the hangout on air. We'll see whether they stop in the course of this show. I have a feeling they probably won't.
What about Barry? Did you invite Barry?
Oh, you know, I didn't. I should.
Invite Barry.
I will. I forget about Barry because he doesn't come around all that often, but
when he does, it's like to drop bombs.
Yeah. He's a good guest. He's a good guest. It's like if you were on the Tonight Show, it's kind of like Steve Martin coming by or something.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen Steve Martin on a talk show, but I assume he's a good guest.
He's really good, I bet.
Maybe we should pick someone else. It's like Jack Benny on the show.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks? Yeah, I think he's pretty good. Oh no, it's like Norm Macdonald. It's like Norm Macdonald comes on the show. All right, we've put our finger on it there. Fans of the show know that we like to start out each episode with a segment called Vince Talks At Us Slowly and for a Long Time. And for today's segment, I'm going to read comments made by Laura on The Abyss, because Greg hasn't read these yet, and I think they're fairly entertaining. Okay, so she's responding to a comment that Alex made. Well, he made several comments inviting her to participate in the Google Hangout and the podcast, and then finally he says, Laura, I take it you don't want to participate in the upcoming podcast? And her response is, I was just going to say thank you, but no, but I feel compelled to say a bit more. I've watched some of the podcasts, and I would not find it fun. I do not appreciate comments of one of your group about this site and another of your group about the Maze book. To the one, speaking to the one person, the first person, Manson created a huge variety of puzzles, and sometimes it's just counting stuff like Amphori, but it goes without saying that needles and eyes as ones and zeros is a brilliant puzzle, and the fact that it is correct is obvious even without confirmation. The reaction of this person and some other boggles the mind. If this individual does not like the book, he should get another hobby. To the other one, I found out about this work for offered White a job after reading his puzzle theory summary. He said no. Puzzle theory is a field of research, and White Raven's brief summary is entirely brilliant. It is a game changer for the field. For the first time, puzzle theory has a working paradigm which can define the entire field. White Raven wrote us an expanded summary which has become the Bible for our development group. Do I wish I was as smart as White Raven? Yeah, but I wish I was as beautiful as Angelina Jolie too. Side note, that's a... I don't know if that was the reference point I would have chosen for... Never mind. Without White Raven's help, we all would be nowhere, bickering among ourselves. Without expert moderation, there would only be a sea of opinion and no mate resurgence. White Raven could have made a walkthrough and told us all about all the room solutions and who the guide is and basically ended the game. But what he did instead, this is fun. I've never gotten a puzzle point and probably never will, and I still think it's fun. If it isn't fun for you, find something else that is. Oh, and the second resurgence, the John Bailey site. Oh, let's see, this ragging on John Bailey. The John Bailey site got 80 posts. It was a blip that went nowhere. There were a couple other sites that had about as many posts over the years. Is this the fourth resurgence then? On this site, the moderator is a genius. Manson is involved and maybe is considering a sequel. And this site has over 2,500 posts. 80 ..2500. This site isn't the second resurgence, it is the resurgence. SP, having said all that, I have no quarrel with you. Thank you for the invite, really. It was nice to be asked. Why not ask Irene? I thought her comments on there being 8s above the doors was insightful. That's the end of that. I thought it was pretty interesting. You think it was worth bringing to your attention, Greg?
Well, I want to sing a song to Laura.
What's that?
But I'm emotionally shaken. If she's not talking to SP, and the other two, it's probably you and me, right? I never knew.
I assume the first one was me because I always kind of take point in the conversation. So like when we first got the Room 34 solution, I was the one who did a monologue about how shaken we were by the eyes and needles. And but we all kind of use eyes and needles as a shorthand for solutions that we don't like. But you are the most, or maybe the only really anti-abyss person here, but you don't talk about it on the show, do you? I don't think you've ever, we've talked.
I appreciate that it exists. I just don't think it's the right thing for me at this point in my maze journey.
Yeah. So I can't imagine she was talking about you because you don't come on here and say bad stuff about White Raven. You've just kind of personally decided not to go there. We've talked about you not going there, but that doesn't seem to be. It is mysterious. But see, I don't even know what the second response is about. What she's responding to when she says to the second person.
Maybe she's talking to Andrew Beals. How do you feel about that, Beals? He hates you.
Maybe she's talking about that time you called you called the abyss the crevice.
Oh, that was out of sensitivity to Greg's feelings. No, I think of myself as being kind of too much of an abyss lackey. I think my thinking is a little too abyss-centric in terms of solving the puzzle and stuff, like getting the puzzle points.
So it's probably all a misunderstanding.
Well, I don't want to analyze it too much. I don't want to respond to it either because that's kind of an unfair arena for responding to it, because it's not like she can respond back to us what we say. So I didn't want to take apart what she had to say. I just thought it was an interesting thing she had to say.
Well, can I sing a song to her?
What's that?
Can I sing a song to her just to kind of like hate everything over with song of love?
Yeah, why not? Sing a song.
Laura, we adore ya, and although you may not think it's true, we are one, and you're another one, and together, Laura, we are two. And today we're doing Room 2.
Oh, wow, good segue. And look, Alex has joined us. So
hey guys,
away.
I'm back.
I'm glad you're back. We were lost. We were flailing. And then we just had to go and talk about something unrelated to the book. We didn't have you.
Am I starting this off? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, weren't you going to present Room 2? If not, then we might be in some trouble tonight.
Yeah, I really only have one thing. I mean, we've talked about this room to death.
Yeah, no. For the podcast, you gotta start from the beginning. You gotta catch the viewer up.
Okay, got it. Okay, so in this room, we've got a bunch of B objects. We've got a broom, a box, a bear, a bench, a banner, and so what we found out a long time ago, but not in the podcast, I don't want to waste anybody's time, Vince, is the B objects connected to the boat, which is over 29, next to the three fellows there over 29. But I would like to add that 12, also being a correct door, does have a battle on top of it, so maybe this room is all about the odd man out, which is the middle pane that doesn't have anything B-related in it.
Maybe we should talk about that for a minute, because 2 is unusual in that respect, and I think like room 5 in having 2 doors that could be correct depending on which way you're going. And it's not as simple as you should go back the way you came, although if you came to get here in the first place, you have to have been to 29. But you can go from 29, I believe, to 8, right? So that you could circle around, too, and come back to it through 23.
Right.
So it's not as simple as go back the way you came.
No, but check this. What I think is, like, if you come to this realization that there's bees on, like, over those 2 doors, like, say you came out of 12, say you came out of 29, if you make that realization, then you can see that those are the only 2 doors that are legit, and, you know, you might put it together that, oh, you know, 29 also has a bee object, but I came from there, so maybe that's what makes it legit, you know what I mean? Like, sort of looking at this room from that perspective as opposed to a one-way track.
I don't know, though, because on the other hand, there seems to be and you'll get into this in a second, I guess, but there seems to be a lot more indicating 29 than 12, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know whether it really is meant to clue both doors or not.
Yeah.
Battle.
I mean, the other observations I had that were 29 related is obviously the broom. That wasn't mine. Somebody else came up with that.
No one else ever was pointing at the door. No, Greg's got credit for that.
Yeah, I noticed that the broom pointed at the door. No one else could see that. I got those eagle eyes.
No, it's the broom contrasted with the spear and the banner, or whatever you want to call that. That every door has like this, I don't know what you want to call it, pole-shaped object associated with it. The other 2 are pointing up at the frescoes, but the broom is pointing down at the door. And you connected that to the line. They studied the old frescoes for clues, but missed the obvious sign.
I'm really good at the obvious side.
Well, the broom pointing at the door is obvious, but I don't think tying all that together is immediately obvious to everybody.
Fair enough. It was pretty brilliant, which is another word.
So expanded on it a little bit more.
It goes without saying.
Expanded on it a little bit further in a way that I liked a little bit because I kind of prefer looking at this room in terms of both 29 and 12 being cued, maybe in different ways, instead of just focusing on 29 because of its unique placement. And Greg had the idea that you could interpret, I think it was you, Greg, who suggested that, I think you said you could interpret the broom as indicating that there's still work to be done. So that means you're on the path inward to 45. I think you interpreted the banner as representing victory, meaning that you're on the way out. And I guess the spear with the flag was maybe like surrender or blood-soaked or other sort of defeat, which is interesting. I
did not come up with that, but I like it. I've never heard that before.
That wasn't.
I like that. I've never heard it.
It definitely wasn't mine. I don't want to take credit for it. That is somebody. But no, dude, that was totally you. That was April 30th. Hello, Gregor.
Oh.
Really?
This was your own idea, so I think it's a good one.
Gregory.
I've never heard it before. So I've got ghostwriters working for me to kind of prop up my image. Let's edit that part out, though, because that's a secret.
I also continuing on the idea that it would be nice if we could find clues that work for both those doors. There's an idea that I posted like way early. It might have been even like the first comment on this room. It was never validated by White Raven, but I still quite hinges on the word marched, which is a really conspicuous a really conspicuous word in this room because of the historical army theme that we see.
Yeah.
I think that it's important that when you look at the frescoes over the doors, 29 and 12 both have soldiers that are on the move, whereas in 22, all of the figures, other than I guess the hovering angels, all of the figures are presented as being stationary. There's no sense of movement from one place to another, and I think that's a really big tip. It was never acknowledged by White Raven, but I still feel pretty good about that. That's a big tip that you want to avoid 22, which is you don't want to march in 22, which is the trap room. You instead want to continue the momentum indicated by the text and go to 29 or 12.
Yeah, you're totally right. Totally right. There's another disindicator of 22 that this might be a good time to bring up, if I may. So there's a line: the floorboards creaked and groaned, right? If you count the floorboards, there's 22 of them, and creaking and groaning is scary, so you don't want to go to 22.
We'll pause while we all count the floor.
Well, there's 20. I count 20.
Wait,
You gotta count the boards between 29.
Oh yeah, I guess if you count those, then yeah, it's 22. Oh yeah, the other thing I mentioned was well, on either on the Abyss or the wiki was 29 and 12 have floors, but if you look in 22, it looks like the fake clouds are resting on nothing, like it's just all through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I kind of derailed you there.
But there's a lot that's important.
Maybe we should continue in this vein.
Do tell.
The other thing to say before we proceed is that this is the one room. This is one of the rooms that that White Raven has singled out as being one that he thinks we're going to like. So I feel like there is probably some kind of tangible thing here that we can get. And I hope that this isn't just a wishy-washy room.
I feel like about this room kind of like how I feel about 15, and that it seems like we've got 1,000 different reasons to pick the right doors, but not a good unifying principle behind it, you know? 15, it's like there's a clue over here that says 37, and then there's some stuff over here, but nothing that connects the whole room together. And I guess that's sort of the way I feel about 2, except 2 seems probably better unified than 15. It's just apparently there's something better waiting out there for us that we're not getting. But we've got,
Well,
I mean, for instance, every one of the... what's that?
I asked how many rooms you feel are unified, because usually there are multiple rooms, aren't there?
Wait, how many rooms?
Did you hear him, Vince? I was going to try and interpret. Your sound's bad, Andrew, or Beals. That's why.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's getting a little robot.
It just seems to me that most rooms are that way, where there are multiple riddles. It feels like it. I can't think of one that's really unified in the way that you want them to be.
Cask of Amontillado.
Well, I mean, there's still a lot there that did that.
Yeah, I think if you accept the solutions that are apparently wrong, then yeah, 39's good, and 37. But even when there are small, unassociated riddles, like I'd say room 1, maybe we have 1,000 different things to say, but the big solution is the words over the doors connecting with the words in the text. And then I think room 30, we can say what's going on is the devil's pointing to the wrong doors, essentially, and maybe there being some indication of the right door. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, but there's a central focus to the room, seems like, whereas in 15 more than 2, I feel like it just seems like a bunch of stuff thrown in a room. It's not clear why it's all there or what is the main riddle there, if there is one. And I guess here I feel like we're missing some connection between the frescoes and the stuff in the room. But then, I don't know, it seems like there's something, I mean, yeah, I mean, Alex mentioned there's all the bee stuff. The bear looks up at the ship, which you would think to call a ship, but it's legitimately called a boat. and that seems to be like a trail of clues pointing up at the boat. I don't know.
But I agree, and I was also going to point out before Alex mentioned it, I was going to point out the battle. I think that it's a really intuitive word for what's going on over 12.
And if you accept the crescent-shaped, flag there as a banner, then the banner is pointing up at the battle as well, the same way that the bear is, looking up at the boat.
Interesting. I like that. That's a nice symmetry.
Well, the other thing that the bear could be looking at is the plaster, which only on 29 is not like chipped.
Yeah, it is.
He means the wall below the fresco.
Yeah.
Ah, of course.
And there's a line about the walls were in some disrepair. Kind of buttress that.
Yeah.
You could say that the wall on that side is bare.
Right.
That's
Oh.
No, I don't
Yeah,
think
that's
so.
Smithsonian. No, I think I wouldn't discount that. I think one of the keys of the room is the be right. It's a bright room. I think that's something that I feel like someone else came up with, but when I was going over this in preparation for this podcast, struck me, because there's the bright room, be right, and right is, they really harp on the word right later on in the text, and so be is right. So a lot of my thinking has been about, okay, where are the B's, and then do the other doors have associated letters? And then if they do, I'm this is still a thought process I'm engaged in. I haven't come to a conclusion, but I want to go A, B, C, right? That just seems to make the most sense. D seems to come up a lot. Like we have 3 seats in the room. There's the bench, there's the chair, there's the throne. They're all seats. There's the crescents, which are C's. A's, we have arches in 22, and I keep seeing the spheres as arrows, but I know they're not. And there's angels.
Oh, here's something. Okay. So consider, sorry to cut you off, I just came up with this. This might be brilliant, maybe not. It might be. So the common numbers for all 3 doors is 2, right? So maybe we're looking for the other number, like some kind of pattern to match up with 9, 2, or 1. And I think what Greg is saying is there's 3 of everything. There's 3 fake clouds. There's 3 banner-type objects. So what's the third thing of which there are 3 of? The 3 praying guys on top of 29.
Well, and if you want to talk about the numbers, so the odd numbers out are 9 and 1, which you add to make 10. And you have the spheres and zeros, which, if you read Maze, those are all 10.
Yeah.
Well, I think it goes without saying that that's a brilliant solution, Greg.
Oh, yeah, the 3 chairs. That's the third. I don't know. Yeah, 3 banners, 3 clouds, and 3 chairs.
But then what about the 3 moons? You could just as well say that there are 3 moons
as well.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it isn't important that there's 2 in the room, 1 in the fresco. Like the chairs, there's 2 in the room, 1 in the fresco. The crescents, there's 2 in the room, 1 in the fresco. But that's kind of where that stops.
Yeah, that was interesting.
There's no actual banners.
Here, with the spear, there's 1 in the room and 1 billion in the frescoes.
Well, there's two banners in the 29 fresco, 1 in the room.
Oh, yeah.
So we have 2 and 1 for the crescents pointing to 29, 2 and 1 for the banners pointing to 29, and then 2 and 1 for the seats pointing to 22. But we also have the ruler in 22 holding up his left arm. There's kind of a motion, though, as well. I'm sorry, I'm bouncing all over the place. But so you have the box and the broom kind of both pointing to 29. The bear looking up at the boat, which is moving rightward. If you go rightward, you follow the spear in 22 fresco pointing rightward. The hand, which is the left hand of the ruler, also pointing rightward. The people are marching rightward to the point where the horse and the army on the other side in the battle over 12 are kind of rearing back. So there's this rightward motion to the whole room, which is just an observation. The angels, are they glowing bugles or coronets?
Well, I guess traditionally you would think of them as coronets, but are they strictly distinguishable?
I always found it weird how both the chairs in this room like don't have legs. They're sort of legless.
They're like elf chairs. A little Lord of the Rings humor for you. Yeah, so the chair, that suggests C too. It's not a bench, it's a chair. So one of the things, if you take the middle room as an A room, the right room as a C room, the left room as a B room, it spells back. Maybe a gritty sound. Another thing, if you the paragraph where he's talking about the relativity of the term right, his kind of synonyms he bandies about are correct and appropriate, which are also C and A.
Huh. That's interesting.
Hey, look at that. Oh yeah, the other thing, before I forget, if the word right's mentioned 3 times, if you turn right 3 times, you'll end up in 29. So maybe that's something.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and so we kind of solve the maze as like there's a solution that's kind of black and white. But I oftentimes, or my sense of Manson and his intention is that it's not really that way necessarily. I think it's maybe the puzzles are kind of constructed in an intuitive sense as well, so that there could be multiple ways. I mean, I think you can find a black and white solution for a lot of these, but at the same time, like when you were with the visitors in that episode 0, there's, I think, perfectly valid ways to solve the maze without solving it like you would a crossword puzzle as well. And I think that's maybe why we're finding multiple solutions too. I think the right 3 times, I think I could see someone going through finding that and it working, and it's valid. But if we go with the letter thing again, confidence, full of confidence. Confidence starts with C. That could also clue to 12. That could be your 12 clue. 12 is more marchy than 29, but 29 also is marchy. Marching out of the maze. They march out to 12. And 12 is the door you want when you're leaving the maze.
Mm-hmm.
So are you trying to associate
something I noticed in regard
to, or are you trying to?
Yeah, it's a hypothesis
with 29.
But, oh, sorry. B29, A22, 12C.
How does 22
A is 22?
get the A?
You have arches and angels. It's weak.
Oh. But you have arches and other ones as well.
Arches and angels and a kind of arrowhead. It's pretty weak. What's that? In the fresco, there's arches.
In the background, I got you.
But anyway, Vince, you were going to say something else?
Something I noticed.
There's also arches. There's also arches.
Yeah,
There's acolytes in 22 as well. Acolytes. Go ahead, Vince. I'll stop talking.
Come on.
Acolytes. Nice.
I mean, it's an archbishop. In something I noticed about that, the line, full of confidence now they marched out. It kind of reminded me of 41, where the departure is, they were pretty sure of themselves and went right on to. And that was interesting because they're both rooms where they're leaving, and they've got this indication of confidence on their part about where they're going to. They both have this use of the word right. The word right doesn't occur in the departing line in 2, but it's obviously a focus on the room, and then 41 has the word right in the departure. But what else is similar about the rooms is that in both cases, the correct move is to go back to a room you've already been to. Which in 41 I suggested, what that line is telling you is the reason why they're because they're going back to a room that they've already been to. You know, in 41 they say, how can we trust that thing? Who knows where it ends up? But then it says they're leaving, they're pretty sure of themselves, which I'm saying is suggesting they're going back to a room that they already know what's in there, which in that case is room 1. Now, it's certainly not clued the same way, but I thought it was interesting that 2 had some of those same elements and getting the same solution, which is that you should be going back to a room you've already been to. You should be backtracking from room 2.
Yeah, I like that observation. Now, are there other instances of confidence when they move on in the maze?
That I can recall off the top of my head, but
you got this recognized by now, Vance.
And there's the bold one doing his boldness. But boldness isn't equated with confidence anywhere.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Hey, the bold one is a B.
Yeah, but
that's true. And that we're thinking about the bold one and talking about 2, I think means it's a clue. What's that room with the... So, okay, here's that room. So the other room where you go back is the Seabag OK room, 32.
Yeah,
you don't have confidence there. You just wouldn't answer questions, so they... Oh, and 10. Is it 10?
10? Another go back.
No, they don't have confidence there either. But I don't think that disproves your observation. That's just...
No, and those rooms are a little different. No, 2 is different from 41 too. They're not exactly laid out the same.
Yeah.
And you could be reaching 41 from a different direction too, just like 2. You could go deeper into the loop. Well, you could go deeper into the path, then cross down to the loop, and the first time you reach 41 could be, on your way back from 10, So saying that you should be going back the way you've been before wouldn't necessarily point you to 1 in that case. Although you might be able to make the deduction, hey, I could have come here from 1, and if I had come here from 1, that would have been the only door I would have, whatever.
Right. But you're still comfortable with 1 regardless because you've been there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if we said it. Did we say it totally clearly here about each one of the door numbers has figures above it, and so 22 has some kind of royalish figure.
An archbishop.
Yeah, yeah, raising one arm, and then 12 you've got a soldier raising one arm, but then in 29 you've got the 3 figures raising both arms.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not clear to me whether the figure over 12 is raising a left arm or a right arm. Because it looks like a right arm to me, but then it also looks like the soldier is holding a shield that would have to be in the right arm.
Yeah, is that shield or wall damage? That's the...
I think it's a
shield for sure.
Which would mean the sword's in the left hand.
Yeah, which is weird because all of them seem to have their spears in their left hand, like the guys behind him,
Yeah.
which is not how they do it.
Oh.
Well, what I was taught is the reason we have, well, in North America, where we have roads on the on the right-hand side of the road, and I found out this is false after, is because in Roman times they wouldn't want the spears to chatter with each other, so they had the shields on opposing sides of the road. And then I found out it was all hogwash. I'm not going to swear because people don't like swearing.
Oh.
Have I sworn yet tonight? Can this be
Well,
my...
we've all been very good little boys.
All right, this one's for you, White Raven. We're going to keep it clean for the rest of the show, just this once. Okay.
So looking at 29 and 12 frescoes, do you think the place where the fresco is degraded, do you think that's meant to point? There's like sharp areas there, right? One appears to be kind of pointing towards the coronet or bugle. The other one points to the boat.
I don't know. I mean, they have a lot of jagged points. I don't know. Hey, you think the wall without the cracks in it is the most? Well, that doesn't work. Do you want to say it's the correct or the most appropriate because it's the one that's not falling apart. But those adjectives don't really go along with not falling apart.
Yeah. Well, I think it's.
As long as we're talking
I
about
think it might be intentionally to signal that.
As long as we're talking about the parts where the plaster has fallen off, the parts where of the walls where the plaster has fallen off. Somebody mentioned on the Abyss that, I don't know if it was you, Greg, or I don't think it was Vince or Alex. It wasn't me. Somebody mentioned that at 22, the spear at 22 is the only one that's pointing directly at an empty patch where the plaster has fallen off, which the person suggested the spear could be pointing to ruin, suggesting that you shouldn't go to 22.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
The banner at 12 is pointing at a horse's. You know, I was almost.
Oh, careful there, Vince. Careful.
And I was the rear end of a horse. It's just not the same.
I think that's a clue, though. The horse is rearing back. It's the back of the horse. That's the door you take when you're going back. Back starts with B.
Also contains A and C, so we're in trouble there.
Right. Yeah. So that's a
Well, it strengthens our convictions.
If you could get some kind of a return theme in the 29 fresco too, that would be cool, and I might buy that. If it were some kind of a homecoming voyage, but I don't think you could.
29 is
like?
The boat is leaving port.
I can't tell what's going on in 29.
No, you can tell the boat's leaving port because you look which way the pennants are going, right? The sails are furrowed. There's land there because there's 6 figures standing. It's moving away from land. It's going out.
Yeah, but the soldiers are still on the shore. What are they?
They are attacking those people.
Those people.
They left the women.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we should be able to interpret what's going on there, but I can't. I mean, that could be them marching off to war or back from war. I mean, maybe this is a story from start to finish.
Right.
They're greeted by those women. Are they women? They look dressed very similar to the people in the next panel, except that they've got
they're Muslims.
They're Muslims. You think? You think those are turbans?
Yeah. This has all got a big Crusades vibe to it. But
I think it's in the wrong order. It looks like it's in the opposite. Like the first frame they're coming home. It looks like the second one they're getting ordained or whatever, and the first, and on 12 they're going into battle. I think it's the wrong way around, especially considering the indoor is 29.
But in 20, that boat's leaving.
Okay, so then why are the guys looking the opposite direction then?
I think the boat's going away, and like they sent the boat off, and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" They're like, "Oh, we didn't do anything." Which of course
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's meant to be. I don't know. Maybe it's a story, maybe it isn't. Who knows?
Well, and if you're like right 3 ways, turn right 3 times. If it is a story, we might not be meant to read it left to right. Right? You could start in a different area. There's no reason we would have to start on the left side and move that way.
Yeah, maybe you start at 22 and then 12, and then there's a missing panel, which is on the wall that we're facing away from in the picture, and then 29 is the end. That would fit with the turn right 3 times theory.
Yeah. So looking at 29, so maybe part of the reason that those elements are there is to have 9, right? So you have the 3 dudes with the 3 zeros, you have the 3 dudes with their hands up, and then you have the 3 oars with the boat, or the 3 crosses with the boat. Just pulling
Yeah,
stuff out.
there are the 3s on that boat, huh? Well, a couple anyway. Yeah, the cross is on the boat. This crescent moon and star on that sign there. I feel worse about this room than when we started.
So you remember a while back when White Raven, I think it was room 3, he drew like lines between the things all over the picture of room 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think you could. I feel like you probably could do a similar thing with this, right? You draw lines from the crescent to that moon, the other crescent to that moon. You have like an arrow going that way. You can do that with the pennant going the other way, right? The 2 pennants going to the pennant on the crescent staff. What's the other thing? Oh, and then the seats would go towards 22. There's this reoccurring 2 and 1 thing. When you have 2 and 1, that makes an arrow, makes a triangle.
Yeah, it seems suggestive of door to 12, though, doesn't it? If everything's 2s and 1s.
Right. Well, and we're looking for, like, at least I was looking for clues to both, and so maybe that's one of the clues to both.
It could be.
I prefer those clues in this one.
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, the most obvious counterpart to 2 is 5. They're both similarly situated on their respective parts of the path. And 5 explicitly tells you that there are 2 okay doors to take.
Yeah. Well, and 4 is also similar in that you have the 2 doors. 4 is similar in that you have 1 going in, 1 going out.
Well, 4, yeah, except that's a good point. That's a good point. 4 clearly, I think, tries to indicate the order to you in which to take them. I don't see 5 really making any effort to do that, but
Yeah. 5 still, I think, a puzzle. I don't feel like I've gotten very far with 5 personally.
yeah, I feel the same way.
So I like your time-elapsed door thing.
I think that's probably legit. But yeah, and we still got the castle or tower or whatever it is in the door and the flower.
Yeah. Flower with the tower.
Yeah, that's what I've always thought of it as Flowering Tower, but that rhyme didn't get us anywhere in 5. Well, anyone have anything else on 2? Is there anything we forgot to point out that we're taking for granted?
The 3 crescents. That's about it, really.
You mentioned that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we said it explicitly, but a lot of stuff that's in the room appears in particular, the fresco over 29. It's just that there's the spear in there. Actually, there is only one spearhead depicted in 29, interestingly. Although you can see the shafts of 2 of the spears, but you got the spear, you've got banner, and you've got the moon, and you've got a bee thing.
And the bear's belly looks like the shields. It's the same oval shape.
Oh, yeah.
And you could even take his eyes as being the other 2 shields. The 3 shields. Well, but then he's got his feet, which also look like the shields.
Verse 22, though, it has a chair like the chair, and it has arches. It has a spear. I'm not sure what's draped over the spear in the room. Looks like some kind of cloth. Maybe a bolt of cloth. It starts as a B. Okay. Oh, the only other thing. All this business about right. If we're still not sure what all the right-left stuff is about in the maze. We still got that sinister comment back in 1, all the right stuff in 23, which is on the opposite end. If there is supposed to be an intended layout to the path, this would fall on the right side. It's possible that that's what, if you accept that 1 is the left-hand side and 23 is the right-hand side. That could be what he's talking about. I don't know whether the layout of the maze is really referenced with that left-right stuff, but worth mentioning maybe that this would be on the right side of the path, but is not a correct door, obviously. Okay. Anything else on room 2?
That's it, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's figure out what we're doing next week.
I have one quick thing. Just you talking about that made me think of this, or to check this, and I just did. So 12, the entrance to room 2 is on the left-hand side, and 29, the entrance to 2 is on the right-hand side. If that means anything to you. Let's think about what we're going to do next week.
Well, in other words, you're saying, the rooms themselves are laid out sensibly as if they were connected. Whereas oftentimes the rooms aren't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Tell you what I'd like to do. How about room? Oh wait, we wanted to do 31 for like goddamn. Oh!
Invoked your Lord. That's all you did. You're a pious man, Vince. That's all you've proved to us. Your mouth is holy. You spit out blessings.
We'll try again next time.
Like David was knocking off puzzle points left.
Okay, we wanted to do 31 for Halloween, somebody said, so we're not going to do 31.
Okay.
Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a holiday next week?
Yeah, it's Labor Day is next week, right?
So this is kind of Labor Day weekend. I feel like this is our Labor Day episode. Next week,
it is Labor Day here up in the great white tundras of Snowland, Canada.
Next week here in Washington State, United States of America, kids are going back to school. Maybe we want to find a back-to-school room.
All right, what's the best back-to-school room in the maze?
Number 1 is back to school.
You want to do room 1?
You got an right there?
But it's back to school.
You've got a milk bottle for your lunch?
What did you say?
That's cool. You've got an apple in there, which is back to school. You've got a milk bottle. It's back to school. There's story time at school sometimes. Because of art class. There's all sorts of stuff in there.
Yeah, and it's kind of like back to school because one is supposed to be instructive about the rest of it.
You don't want to be late for school. Bam!
Yeah! Business!
Drop the mic.
Genteel viewers.
Yeah. All right. Do we really want to do room 1?
We do. It's back to school.
Okay. Do you want to do it, Greg?
Yes. I'm not sure if I can make it. If I can, I will.
You're going to stick us with room 1. You know,
I want to do room 1. Actually, I would enjoy talking about room 1 because I think there's some controversy about room 1. We can have some good arguments, which makes a great internet television.
That's true. That's true. I don't think there was enough of that this episode. The only dramatic tension was whether I could make it through the whole episode without cursing, and it turns out I could not.
Well, maybe we should
set that up earlier.
One based on whether Greg can make it.
Right. Will I be here? Will I be here for your first day at school, children?
That's dramatic tension right there.
Will I neglect you? Will I withhold that love?
That is a cliffhanger.
All right, back to the basics next time. Room 1, presented by Greg or whoever gets stuck doing it when Greg decides he doesn't want to show up and talk about room 1.
It's not a choice.
All right. Good night, gentle viewers. We'll see you next week.